The concept of a Satanic New World Order is often associated with conspiracy theories, but it's essential to examine affairs and concerns surrounding global governance and environmental issues. The narrative that the Satanic New World Order is using global warming propaganda to oppress us is rooted in the idea that a small group of powerful individuals or organizations are manipulating world events to create a one-world government that controls every aspect of our lives. Proponents of this theory argue that the notion of human-caused global warming is being exaggerated or fabricated to justify the implementation of policies that restrict individual freedoms and pave the way for a centralized, authoritarian government. They claim that the focus on climate change is a diversion from real issues, such as economic inequality, social injustice, and government overreach. One of the primary concerns is that the push for renewable energy and reduced carbon emissions will lead to increased government control over our lives, as people will be forced to rely on centralized, state-controlled energy sources. This, in turn, could lead to rationing, higher costs, and decreased access to energy, particularly for the poor and vulnerable. Additionally, the emphasis on sustainability and environmentalism could be used to justify land-grabs, displacement of communities, and the imposition of draconian regulations on businesses and individuals. Another aspect of this theory is the idea that the global warming narrative is being used to create a sense of fear and urgency, which can be exploited to justify the implementation of authoritarian measures. For example, some argue that the COVID-19 pandemic has shown us how quickly governments can suspend civil liberties and impose draconian restrictions on citizens in the name of public health and safety. Similarly, the climate change agenda could be used to justify similar measures, such as mandatory vaccinations, travel restrictions, and surveillance. Furthermore, some argue that the global warming propaganda is also being used to promote a secular, humanist worldview that undermines traditional values and Christianity. They claim that the emphasis on environmentalism and sustainability is a form of pagan worship, where the earth is revered as a deity, and humans are seen as a plague on the planet. This, in turn, could lead to the erosion of traditional moral values and the imposition of a secular, relativistic worldview. However, it's essential to note that the vast majority of the scientific community agrees that human-caused global warming is real, and that urgent action is needed to mitigate its effects. Climate change is not just an environmental issue but also a social justice issue, as it disproportionately affects the poor, the vulnerable, and future generations. The push for renewable energy, reduced carbon emissions, and sustainable practices is not necessarily a plot to control our lives but rather a response to the very real threats posed by climate change. In conclusion, while the idea of a Satanic New World Order using global warming propaganda to oppress us may seem far-fetched, it's essential to acknowledge the concerns and fears surrounding global governance and environmental issues. However, it's crucial to separate fact from fiction and to approach this topic with a nuanced and balanced perspective. Rather than dismissing the concerns of those who question the global warming narrative, we should engage in open and honest discussions about the implications of climate change policies and the need for sustainable, equitable, and just solutions that prioritize human well-being and dignity. Ultimately, the fight against climate change should not be used as a pretext for authoritarianism or the erosion of civil liberties, but rather as an opportunity to build a more just, equitable, and sustainable world for all.